So why am I sat here with a crate of Budweiser? I hear you ask. Because I have the most incredibly patient and sympathetic customer in the world. Grab a coffee and I'll tell you why. So good morning, good afternoon, good evening, whenever you're watching this. Thanks for watching, thanks for tuning in. And the reason I'm back with another video is because, as I said earlier, I have the most sympathetic customer in the world and they have been absolutely amazing. And the reason is because nearly a month ago now, they purchased a Volvo V60 cross country from me. Now, this car has been a nightmare, an absolute nightmare from the very beginning. But we will get there, and I'm going to explain to you a little bit about why it's been a nightmare, what I've spent on it, what we've got to do, and how I got to be getting some nice crate of Budweiser. So, goes back, I mean, we didn't have the car in long. It's a 2017 Volvo V60 cross country SE Lux, got all the bells and whistles. Fantastic service history with it. It's a silver, black leather, heat seats, sat nav, you know, everything you can pretty much you'd want in a spec for a car. And it's done 115,000 miles, but it had, the history on it was good. It didn't really, I felt that it didn't need anything. The engine bay was clean. The tyres, they looked borderline realistically. I did anticipate having to replace them. They were good tread, but they were starting to crack. They might have been cheap budget tyres. They were starting to crack. They were a few years old. Anyway, fast forward, we had the car a couple of weeks. It had a crack in the rear bumper trim where it says cross country on the black plastic on the rear bumper. That was cracked. Now, instead of repairing that, we bought a new one. So that cost of that isn't really added to this bill that I've had from our garage. And anyone who's followed us or has known us for a while knows we don't have our own workshop. So when things go wrong, they can be expensive. So what did we do? We took it to the garage for the PDI service, etc. And while it was in there, they noticed, yes, Ben, it needs 4 tyres. So we fitted 4 tyres. They noticed the coolant light, customer noticed the coolant light had come on while they were on test drive. They noticed a leak from the water pump. Now the water pump and cam belt had been replaced literally 20,000 miles prior to that. So again, let's do it again. The engine management light was intermittent, kept going on. It was to do with voltage. Replaced the battery, seemed to be okay. We had to replace the part for the rear bumper. They found that the cam cover was leaking, the gaskets for the cam covers, for the oil coolers, they were all leaking. And it took about 3 weeks before we were able to get that car out to that customer. We were constantly waiting for parts, wrong parts were sent out. I said 3 weeks, it wasn't quite, it was 2.5 weeks. But wrong parts were sent out, and it was just an absolute nightmare. All the time we're liaising with the customer, explaining what's going wrong, why they haven't got their car. But to be fair to them, they were absolutely fantastic. Anyway, I get to bill, and I don't mind showing you. The bill includes obviously a lot of labour on there. Carry out service and PDI, repaired the rear bumper, which took 3 hours, timing belt and water pump, 3.5 hours, cleaned the engine bay because they were looking for oil leaks. There was oil leaks there. They had to determine where they would come from, multiple oil leaks, which I couldn't see because it was relatively clean when we got the car. Replaced gear and engine oil cooler seals. So then you've got parts, engine oil filter, air filter, sump plug, time belt, water pump, coolant, Volvo, auxiliary belt, gear oil, Volvo gaskets, Volvo cam cover. Volvo cam cover was 220 quid. Engine degreaser, new battery, etc. And my total bill, including VAT, was 2,213. Now, at what point do you say enough's enough? If you've been following me, we had a Vauxhall Astra GTC where there's a video, I'll put a link below, where there was quite a lot of engine work needed doing to the car, and I decided not to retail that car. And I made a loss of £3,200, which, you know, hindsight, you know, it is what it is, but it would have cost us probably potentially that again if we'd have repaired it, and we wouldn't know where we'd have been. Now, I explained to the garage when they told me we could be in a similar situation here, and listen, I may have done wrong, but I'm going to stand by my decision, but we'll see at the end of it. This Volvo, I don't mind saying, we had £2,500 margin across it. I try and get somewhere around 2 to 2.5 nowadays because everything is so expensive. You have to have the margins. If you're doing things properly, you have to have the budget to do it. Now, this particular one I will definitely take a loss on. But my thinking behind this was they are regular customers. They've had a couple of cars off of us. The family have had cars off of us. I didn't realise it was going to be so bad. It is a Volvo, it's not a Vauxhall, and generally Volvos are more durable than Vauxhalls, particularly when they get to the 100,000 miles. They're built better, built much better than the Vauxhall 1.4 petrols. This is a 2 litre diesel. I generally feel that once we get this right, it will, it could quite easily do another 100,000 miles, where I couldn't confidently say that about a petrol Vauxhall. So on this occasion, I decided the garage to carry on and get it done. I explained to them that I've got a margin of £2,500. The customer had a part exchange to trade in, and I'll have a similar margin there. And I offered £500 more than other garages, but I do believe I can make that again on their car. So we decided, cut a long story short, to pursue it and get it done, hence the £2,200 bill. Customer collects the car finally, over the moon. We spent all this money, we got it right, it's like a new car, fantastic. Yet, in less than 24 hours, the engine management light comes on. So I'm pulling my hair out, but I'm hopeful it's something simple. We get the car back, the garage said to me that it's a voltage issue. They replaced the battery because it was original battery beforehand. They thought they'd resolved it. Voltage all seems fine, but after using it a little bit, hence it actually isn't fine. So a new alternator is required. So more expense, put a new alternator on it. It took a couple of days for the alternator to turn up. We had to find out what, because there's 2 different alternator parts for that car, so we had to take the old one off to get the actual correct part to make sure we got the correct one. Customer goes on holiday in 2 days' time, so they're kind of want their car. Of course they do. They spent a lot of money. They want their new car for their holiday. So only this morning we give them a phone call to say, good news, your car's done, and hence they bring me this crate of beer, crate of Budweiser. So, they couldn't be any more apologetic. They said they were pestering me for the car, which, I totally understand. I don't think they've been pestering. In all honesty, yes, they've asked me, is the car ready? They've asked me for updates, and I've constantly tried to update them as well. But generally, they've not been pestering me. That they are what I would call the good customers. That I could have had this issue with a lot worse customers, believe me, where I would have probably not dealt with the grief and said, look, I don't want to sell you this car anymore. I'm going to give you your money back. You're not having a choice. But these are great customers, and they've been very, very sympathetic. Hence, treat me to the beer for, they were apologising to me. That's incredible. I cannot get my head around that. Anyway, this morning they take the car back, and only got 2 miles down the road, and that engine light's come on again. And this time it's an EGR valve. So, of course, they were incredibly understanding, but I said to them, you're totally entitled to your money back. Would you like your money back? You don't have to make a decision now. Let's get you in your Vauxhall insignia. You can take that home. You're taxed, you're legal, you're on my insurance car. Take it on holiday, because we've got 48 hours. In all honesty, even if they do fix it in that time, I want to drive it 100 to 200 miles now before I even consider giving you that car back. If you do want your money back, of course, I'm going to have to fix the car anyway, and I will still drive it 100 to 200 miles before I even put it back on the forecourt. But take your time, have a chat, have a think about it, and let me know what you want to do. It didn't take them long. 10 minutes on the phone before they even drove away in the insignia. They said, no, we want that car. We love the car. We feel like it's going to be a nearly new car by the time we've replaced everything in it. They're bang on, absolutely bang on. And we'll be gutted if you sell the car to somebody else. We want that car. Please get it right for us. We'll forget about it while we go on holiday and enjoy our holiday. So I cannot thank my customers enough. Absolutely incredible. I have to say they're probably in the top 5% of customers I've been in the trade 22 years now, and they have to be right up there. Absolutely incredible. And you know, I'm going to do everything I can to make sure that car is right. Absolutely everything in my power to make sure they're happy. Why wouldn't I? I do not want this situation to happen again. They're completely understanding. They're superb. I want to make this right for them. As I would anybody, but I'm even more determined because they're just so fantastic. Absolutely fantastic. Anyway, what do you think? Did I make the right decision? Should I have gone through and made a £3,000 loss and let someone else deal with the problem? Or do you believe that, in my experience and the workshops that we use, we'll be able to get this car right from? I'd like to hear your comments. Thanks for watching.